I'm not creative. I guess I'll just never get in shape. I guess I just can't build my business that good. I guess I just can't be, I guess I just always will be trapped in my business, right? And those are not reflective of who you are. They're reflective of how you currently view yourself and how you're showing up right now.
Very interesting. This is a very eye-opening conversation because it's a different way to think compared to traditional like perspectives.
So different.
Yeah, and most people are trying to will their way to success, like with the 9% that you mentioned. And
so here's the interesting thing, is that in 1990, it was a reliable approach. That there was barely an internet, right? And there was no AI, right? There was no social media. And so if you worked 60 hours a week and you tried harder, you would have an advantage over somebody that only worked 20 hours a week. You'd get more relationships, more connections, you'd collect more information, more experience. You would have a tangible advantage over somebody else, right? So now the people that were successful 1990 and prior, the Mark Cubans, a lot of those types of people, pass off the advice that made them successful to people in a world that doesn't match the way that they were in the conditions that they were successful in. And so in this current world with AI, the internet, social media, all those different things, it is way less about forcing your way through stuff. You have so many other options and what is actually valuable and important that is outside. Work ethic matters, right? What matters more is the direction that the work ethic is pointed in.
Yeah. Because most people just do blatant like work just for the sake of work with no intentionality. But it comes back down to who are you becoming? What is the direction that you're going, and how do you associate yourself to the direction that you're going? Real quick, Zach. Can you?
Yep. Fell asleep. Boom, boom, boom. All right.
Cool. Now, with ENCODED, it seems like it's a very powerful tool to even avoid confirmation bias, because when you, for example, from my current perspective, it seems like there's two directions that you can go down. It's either a positive reinforcement loop to get you to your goal, or if you're not using a systematic process to rewire your identity, you can even fall into a self-deprecation loop of like reaffirming that I'm not good enough, I'm not like, and I'm this bad thing, I'm this bad thing. And 90% of entrepreneurs out there are probably going into a self-deprecation loop, and they don't have a systematic process. So first of all, how did you even get the idea for ENCODED? And let's start there.
So the way that I have been looking at this is the distinction of it is actually a little bit different. And the distinction is my objective to collect more information, more skills, more frameworks, more coaches, more content, loading more programs into my more information into my conscious mind? Or am I going to build at the subconscious level that allows me to use all of the stuff that I already have way more effectively? So the difference is, like, imagine trying to have all the apps on your iPhone run on Windows 95.
It's not gonna work.
So, like, most people, a lot of people, let's just be accurate, a lot of people are running Windows 95 and then trying to throw the Uber app and, Uber Eats and that type of stuff into run on that operating system. It's not going to work. And so it's to have the recognition that more information, more skills are not actually what's holding you back anymore. That's actually what it is. It's your cognitive emotional state, which is driven by your subconscious beliefs. Your emotions are getting in the way. Your automatic decisions and biases are getting in the way of your leadership, of your growth, of your finances, not whether someone tells you to invest in the S&P versus this other thing, right? So that's the big switch, and the driver of it is AI. And so what has happened is that for the past 50 years, information has been the scarce premium resource. If you had more information, then you were more valuable. Imagine the doctor in the 1950s, right? They had information. There was no Wikipedia, a library, an encyclopedia. No one could look up their symptoms. No one could ask ChatGPT or Claude what was going on, right? So the doctor was so valuable because they had information that nobody else had, right? And the rules of the world were built around that. Mm-hmm. The school system was built around giving you information and helping you process it. The credentialing system of having a resume that says what title and experience and things like that were built on verifying that you had the information and the competencies.
Right.
The personal and professional development industry are built on the idea that everyone just needs more information, and the next insight is going to be what unlocks it for them, which was relevant and real 20 or 30 years ago and back to the 1950s. Now, over the past 20 years, we've noticed these shifts happening. Mm-hmm. First, the internet, then social media, and now AI. And once AI happened, it became totally undeniable that information is no longer scarce and the premium of information is going down. It's not that what you know isn't valuable, it's that everybody else also can figure it out too, and it's no longer that scarce. So the premium is coming down on it. And when these types of technological shifts happen, it is an invitation for humans to elevate to their next level of capacity, is the way that I look at it. So if you think about in 1970, a factory or 1960, a factory worker, right? Mm-hmm. First off, the factory worker, they never measured the IQ of the factory worker. It wasn't economically relevant, right? The factory worker had an IQ. They were capable of doing knowledge work. They had the capacity to do it. The economy just didn't need it yet.
Right.
And then the factory started implementing automation, robots and things like that to do the factory worker's job for them. And the factory worker stopped making their money through skilled labor using their muscles, and they started making money using their conscious brain.
Yeah.
This transition from a skilled labor worker to a knowledge worker. Now, what's happening with AI is the knowledge worker today is the factory worker of 1970, right? Mm-hmm. You've built your entire career on information processing and knowledge accumulation, and now automation is doing all of that for you better, faster, and cheaper, just like the robots did to the factory worker. And that provides an invitation of, okay, so where do I go next that's not going to be automated? And it's not learning more information about AI, right? That would be equivalent to the factory worker being the best one using the robot that eventually is going to get taken away anyway, right? Yeah. So there will be people that make money implementing AI and managing AI agents. What I'm saying is that it's not going to be the most premium, scarce resource. And the premium, scarce resource is going to be your frequency. Mm. And what that is how you connect with humans, how clear you think, how much you trust yourself, how creative you are, how much vision you have, how autonomous you are, how intentional you are. These skills now become the premium resource when information is abundant. So if you look at the 1,000-person company right now, they have all the AI, all the automation, all the stuff, all the resources, and literally nobody in the company knows what's important. They have infinite amount of information, infinite amount of possible decisions, and nobody has clarity. And a lot of people don't have self-trust either. They're asking the consultant, they're asking McKinsey what they should do, right? They're looking at the best practices, what Gartner said. And so you can already see what's forming right now is when information is abundant, it's not about finding the next piece of information. It's actually the likelihood that the next piece of information you see on social media is what is right for you is now almost negligible. It's impossible. Because how much content there is, how is the next piece of content when there's millions of pieces a day going to be the one that you need? Yeah. The odds are like winning the lottery, right? So it's like very, very low. And so it's not about finding the next piece of information now. It's about knowing what matters. It's actually about being able to filter all the information to say, those million things don't matter. These are the things that do. Then to have the discernment to say, but these situations were different. So now in my situation with my values and my business and my life, those things don't matter. This part of it does. Let me apply it to this. Let me make my own decision. And so the premium skills are shifting, And those skills, just like the factory worker that made money with their muscles, then went to using their brain, the skills of the next era are not in your conscious mind. They're built in your subconscious mind that happen automatically, move to your nervous system, and then after that you can do everything on top of it. But listening to a podcast about clarity does not allow you to operate with clarity. Right? Yeah. Learning a podcast, reading about autonomy, knowing what it means, does not make you an autonomous human.